That's the lazy man. Lazy man.
Yeah. I still haven't changed that order windshield wipers.
I changed your shut-off valve on your water measure. The old one that comes out. One thing that you gotta do with the old one, pull around, down
When I moved my big hose, it was on there. Oh yeah. I did. To make it longer so I could run it out of the fan. Why did they call it dragon? Oh, you got all that stuff in there. Right, and the hose and all that. Yeah, ain't no reason for that.
Oh man, one of these.
Does it close the same? Once inside there, if it's a rubber roof that goes up and down? It is the same?
Yeah.
There's gotta be a difference. Yeah, it's a little longer, the check one's longer, because that's what maybe it's a higher PSI or something, because when I went to, I went even went over on the Senate cover that stuff, to see if they had a higher PSI valve. 25 was the highest one. That's obviously not high enough.
Alright guys, good morning. Thank you guys for being on time. I really appreciate it. Kevin appreciates it too. So we're going to talk about, Kevin's got a topic people are going to cover today. I believe it's heat stress, is that right? I know we've covered it before, but we've already had one incident that was as hot as it was early in May. We've already had one incident of somebody who was kind of overcome by the heat, and you guys all know what the effects are. We deal with it every year, so it's nothing new for you, but we've got some new faces in the room. But real quick, I wanted to bring up one sort of topic that came up yesterday when James and I were out making some sales calls, and we went over to what is hopefully going to be our new building. And the guy that owns our building right now is a radio antenna installer, high frequency radio antennas. We see them when we're on the top of buildings. The rope descent guys more than the other guys, but when you're walking around on a building and you see an antenna on the roof, what's the danger that's associated with that, right? That's the question. A lot of times we don't really think about it, but so this guy that owns this company, owns the building that we're buying, was telling he travels the country and does training for people that do a lot of work around these radio frequency antennas. And there are federal allowable limits of radiation or whatever you want to call it around these antennas. So he's always, obviously they're trying to hit these limits under the 100% mark. But what's the danger if you walk by one of these antennas? That's the question, right? So we talked about it a little bit. You said that the 100% allowable limit, if you stand by that antenna for, what do you say, James, 6 minutes?
Yep.
Or longer, you could suffer what would be equal to a second-degree burn or a sunburn. Okay? So 6 minutes standing right there by it at the 100% allowable limit. Now, if you walk by it, what's the danger? Not really any danger at all. So just an awareness thing, guys. If you see these antennas, you're not sure what they are, Don't hang out by them and have your lunch, okay? Chris is laughing. Chris is gonna go try to find one. So just wanted to kind of bring your awareness up to that. That's really all I've got. Anybody have any questions on that or anything? Don't tie your ropes to antennas. Give me your time in this room over here, buddy. Good morning.
Get it set up front with the. Messing around.
All right, guys, well, we got a sign-in sheet passed around. Good to see you guys again. So hopefully you're all doing well. This month we thought that we would kind of hit the summer safety, topic again. And we, talk about this every year. I don't want to present the same old thing that I've done for a few years. I think last time Eric Hartley of our group did that for you. But I went out and put a few different twists on it. We're also going to talk about a few other things too that just involve summer. So with that said, I do want to kind of start by us talking about what are the unique things that we run across in the summer. I mean, heat is obviously one, right? But what else? I mean, what else are you more likely to run across?
Living in short skirts.
That's right, distractions. Very good, Chris. Thank you for that.
It's definitely unique.
It is unique.
I will agree with that. Distraction in the summertime.
Yep.
What else? Other than those two. That happen more in the summer, maybe not so much other times of the year.
Dehydration.
Okay, dehydration. Yeah. Absolutely.
Heat lightning?
Okay, good.
Sunburn.
Yeah. Like
Sunburn.
sunburns. Yep.
When we're up on roofs, all the little tar that they use gets all real soft when it's hot.
The what they use?
The little tar and stuff they
tar.
use to seal the roofs and stuff, that stuff gets all gooey and messy, and if you don't watch it, you'll get it all over the roads.
Yeah.
Everything goes.
Yeah.
Okay. Children all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Summertime, right?
Summertime, school's out, the kids are poking around, and there's truth to that.
And they all want to know what's going on.
Oh,
They see
yeah.
us too.
Yeah.
Look at him, mommy.
Let me see if I can find this rope. Yeah. So there's a lot of things. Those are all good and relevant. Some of these have to do with more personal things, but there's a lot of things that we do in the summer that we don't do, even in our personal life, right? I mean, we're swimming, some of us more, grilling more. There's, you think about grilling like is there any danger? Well, you're using liquid propane gas. A lot of it, some of it's charcoal, but you got fire, you got things like that, right? 4th of July is coming up. Anybody know anyone who's been hurt with a firework before?
In the winter time,
I've
everybody
actually been hurt.
Well, they're year round for some people.
Tell me about this summer skiing thing.
Oh, you never been skiing, huh?
Not in the summer. Water skiing?
Water ski?
Well, I don't say water ski.
Oh,
I don't say jet ski. It just says ski.
So anybody want to share what happened with the firework? Maybe it was, okay, go ahead.
I was trying to be grown, about 9 years old, 8 years old. My grandfather told me to walk and dig yourself out. Told me not to light the firework because the wick was too small. I lit it anyway.
Yeah.
I almost blew my fingers off.
Same thing happened to me. I was trying to hold on one with a little wick and light it and throw it real quick.
Yeah.
Didn't happen.
And I never
Mom
did a
started like
firework
this for months.
Oh, really? For months?
Yeah. I don't know why, but it was.
Real bad? Yeah, so yeah, fireworks are no joke. So, definitely be careful with those, especially with the kids.
On the ground,
You haven't lit one since? Yeah. Yeah. So, but a couple of them, I figured we pull a few out that are more relevant to you guys, maybe not so much personally, but definitely heat, right? I want to talk about that. Animals, we'll pull that one out and talk about it a little bit. And then weather. So somebody said heat lightning. So yeah, storms, lightning. So let's talk about those three. Spend a little time on them. So how does starting with heat? What's heat do to your body? You guys know? I mean, what's it really do to you? Raises your core body temperature. That's right. Who said that?
Causes your body to tighten up a little too.
What's that?
Your muscles and everything causes them to tighten a little more.
Okay. Dehydrate, right? So you sweat more.
I've noticed a lot more fatigue
Yes.
in the summertime as opposed to the summer.
That's right. Yes, you do. You get fatigued. Yep. Yep. So I found this video. It was pretty good. It's just like a minute or two, but it kind of explains like what it does to the body and some of the effects of heat on the body. So
for many, a day like today calls for one thing.
Just relaxing, soaking it all in. Hope it lasts another 6 months.
There's a reason they're called the lazy days of summer. Heat slows down the central nervous system, making us feel tired. And though many of us would take summer over winter any day, any extreme temperature is stressful to the body.
It's so hot. You're definitely a lot more sluggish, more fatigued. That's for sure. A little maybe short-tempered.
Extreme heat can throw our brain chemicals off balance and affect our mood. Blood pressure can also drop in the heat, which means your heart needs to work harder to make up for it.
If you're dehydrated, then you have less blood volume, so also that will tend to bring the blood pressure down. And that's why, like we said, people might faint or feel kind of tired or dizzy. That's because their blood pressure is getting low.
If that workout seems harder, that's because it is too hard and you could experience exertional heat stroke.
If you're running into problems with fluid balance or with electrolytes, then they can get muscle cramps. That's a common early sign of heat stress, particularly in people that exercise.
The flip side of exercising in the heat is that you'll have a harder workout.
You'll become fitter in terms of how much exercise you can do in the heat, and it does translate to a certain degree also to a non-hot environment.
Whether you exercise in the heat or not, we all have one built-in adaptation after several days exposure to warmer temperatures.
What our body does is actually secrete more sweat, develop more what we call heat-activated sweat glands, and each one of those glands secretes more sweat as a result of the adaptations that occur.
Of course, if you are going to exercise in the heat, keep hydrated, drink long before you're thirsty, and drink a lot afterwards to replace all the fluids that you've lost. Also protect your skin. It's your largest organ. With heavy sweating, the glands can clog up and get irritated. That can lead to a rash on your skin. And if you have sunburn, the skin's damaged and you just can't let the sweat out properly. And that's your main method of cooling yourself, meaning you're just going to feel terrible.
So the upside for an exercising on a day like this, you get a much better workout, you're in better shape, but you might pass out.
Technically, yes, that's true.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
that's one way to put it, I guess.
Yeah,
But
you might fall and bump your head, but you're good.
yeah, you're fine. Well, you can get some stuff out of that. So, they did say, fatigue obviously does happen. As you sweat more, you got less blood volume, so your heart has to work harder to keep the blood pumping, right? Can lower the blood pressure. That's why you can feel like, you're going to pass out because of heat exhaustion or whatever. So, it does a lot of funky things with the body. You heard him say, too, towards the end, if how your body cools down, sweating is a big part of it. So, you heard him say things like, the more you're out in the heat, your body learns to sweat more. It kind of adapts to it to cool you down better. That's why, if you were to let's say it's winter and you go on vacation and you're not used to that heat and you get out there, you're baking. You can't really handle it that well. But if you ease yourself into it, your body, really learns to adapt to it better. So hopefully by now you guys are, at this point adapting to it more. But I don't know. Some people may work indoors more, and then maybe one day you're working outdoors. So that adaptation is big. So anyway, those are just some things that I thought were kind of interesting. So heat stroke versus heat exhaustion. So there is a difference there. one thing they did say in that video was cramps. So you can get cramps when you lose a lot of electrolytes and things. That's so you sweat a bunch or whatever. That's kind of an early sign, right? But you guys kind of help differentiate the difference between stroke and exhaustion, heat stroke, heat exhaustion. What's the difference? I mean, there's a lot of answers here.
Doesn't the heat stroke make that like a higher body temperature?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to show you something here in a second that shows 103 degrees, but I've heard more people say 105. Yeah. So, yeah, it's your core body temperature actually elevates a lot higher. And think of it that way. Think of like, you've heard like, hey, if your kids are above, 103, get them to get them to the hospital immediately. Why? What can happen?
Are eggs frying upstairs?
Yeah, right? The eggs frying upstairs, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, you start cooking your internal organs. And typically the brain is one of the first to experience problems. So you could literally have brain damage or organ damage because of your core body temperature going, above like 105 degrees. So yeah, heat stroke is a life-threatening emergency. You don't want to downplay it. I mean, it is serious. Heat exhaustion is kind of the intro to it, right? The leading up to it, but it's still serious. You want to take it serious. So what would the symptoms be that are different? Like, how do I know, okay, I'm just suffering some heat exhaustion here versus heat stroke? Anybody know?
I know when I had the heat exhaustion, I started getting real dizzy. Or I felt like passing out. So that's the tip of the iceberg for exhaustion. I guess kind of heat stroke.
Yeah. So you felt dizzy, felt nauseous, sweat a bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, a lot of it's sweat when you're outside, but were you sweating more than normal?
Yeah, I almost felt like I was out of sweat.
Okay. That's when you're dehydrated, right? And don't sweat.
Well, that's actually stroke.
Oh.
That's where you start getting into heat stroke. So, yeah. So this is and some of you guys in the back may not be able to see this, so I'm gonna kind of tell you. I tried to make it as big as I could. But exhaustion versus stroke, okay? Heat exhaustion, typically you're getting faint and dizzy, where heat stroke, it's probably more like a throbbing headache. Okay? Excessive sweating versus no sweating. You stop sweating, really bad sign. Okay? Throbbing headache in the heat, really bad sign. Okay? Especially sudden. I mean, you can have headaches, they peak up over time, but you're hot, you're overdoing it, and all of a sudden your head starts pounding. As far as the skin goes, kind of a cool, clammy type of skin, right? Kind of clammy. Whereas for stroke, it's going to be like red and hot, okay, and dry because you're not sweating. So difference there. Nausea and vomiting can go either way. Rapid weak pulse would be heat exhaustion. Rapid strong pulse, heat stroke. Okay? And then muscle cramps. The other difference is, obviously with stroke, you lose consciousness there. But, those are some things to think of. So if you're out, you're in the sun, you're working, you're sweating, whatever, okay, fine, you're going to sweat. That's your body's way of cooling down. But you start feeling sick. You start feeling lightheaded. You start getting that headache. You start noticing, man, I'm clammy, or wow, I'm sweating a bunch, more than I was, feeling weird, stop sweating, red skin, any things like that, you need to listen to your body. Your body's trying to tell you, hey, I'm having problems here. Help me out, right? It's giving you the warning signs, but you got to listen to it. So one other thing that you can do is feel your pulse. You know, just feel your pulse, and especially early on, if you really start sweating, you're like, man, is something wrong with me? If you feel your pulse and it's rapid, it's going real fast, but maybe you're not overexerting yourself, but it's going pretty quick, and you're feeling some of those symptoms. That's just the confirmation of what's going on with the rear, you know. So those are all things to pay attention to. A couple other stats that I found when I was looking last night. This surprised me, but from heat stroke, over 20% of the people who go through heat stroke die. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought it'd be that high. 20%. So if you go through heat stroke, you got your 1 in 5 chance of that's the end. So that, just to tell you, don't play with it, right? You want to treat it real serious. And it can cause, even if you don't die, it can cause permanent brain damage, right? Or permanent organ damage because you're above 105. Okay? This one showed a couple other things I thought were kind of interesting. Actually, just one thing. It showed where, you know, if your pupils are real dilated, the black part's really big. That's a sign of heat exhaustion. If they're real constricted, real small, okay? So we're talking kind of hard to tell, but real big, real small is heat stroke. So you can look at your eyes. Do they look normal? Okay? If my eyes are either big or small, one or the other, you know, the pupils, then that's a sign as well. So just ways you can kind of check yourself and know. So how hot's too hot outside?
How hot's it gonna be today?
I love it.
I can't work today. It'll be a miserable.
How hot are you? When are you at risk? When do you need to start really thinking about it?
Probably about 95.
I'm gonna say 80.
Let's say about 72.
Here's a chart for you. So this kind of shows you, I like this because it keeps it real simple. You know, basic planning, low caution, 91, below 91. Okay, and that's, I want to show you, that's not the temperature, that's the heat index. Okay, so don't forget that part. Remember we talked about that before, the heat index. That is the temperature plus the humidity. You got to think about the humidity, right? So temperature plus humidity is heat index. You might hear them say real feel. You ever hear them say that? Real feel today is this or something like that. That's the heat
Feels
index.
like.
Feels like. That's heat index. Okay. So once you start getting into that 90 to 100 range, you're at moderate risk. You start getting in that 103 and above heat index. We don't see many temperatures like that here. Heat index, you might some. You're at higher risk at that point. Okay. So pay attention to that heat index each day. There's a good phone app. I've mentioned this before. Those of you who are new didn't hear me say this before, but there is a good phone, really good phone app out there. It's made by OSHA. You can just look it up, OSHA heat stress, and you open it up, and just there's like a button that says, you know, what's, you know, heat for the day or whatever, and it'll zone in on where you are and kind of tell you, here's what the heat index is for you. And it'll show you kind of a chart saying, you know, hey, high risk, low risk. And it'll even tell you some things like, if it's high risk, I would do this, this, and this. Low risk, here's some things. So it kind of helps you a little bit in case you're interested in that. So how do you avoid this? What can we do? Drink a lot of water, right? Because dehydration is big. It plays a big role in your heat stress. So let's talk about the water for just a second. So what about Gatorade versus water? What's better? Which
Water.
Water's better. Yep. Because it does a better job of hydrating you. So should I totally avoid altogether Gatorade?
No, we can't drink it straight all that long.
Yeah, don't drink it straight all day long, right? So the good rule of thumb is, 3 waters, 1 Gatorade. 3 waters, a Gatorade. Something like that. Because as you sweat, you are getting rid of the salt in your body, right? You got salt in your sweat, so you're getting rid of it, and your electrolytes are dropping because of it. So you can experience, some other issues. But so you want to keep that coming in a little bit, but mainly water, good. And somebody said maybe drink it early. That's absolutely right. So you can't. If I were to just, show up to work, I rolled out of bed, I ate a bowl of oatmeal, here I am doing my job, I'm sweating. Now I'm really, my body's really lacking. So if I drink that water, it's not immediately going into my bloodstream. So I'm still because that's really where you get those problems. Is when, your blood volume starts to drop, your heart starts, right? Remember we talked about that just a minute ago? It takes a while to get through there. So, really, you're doing yourself a big, big favor if you start the day, drink a bottle of water before you even start the job, right? Get that going early so that you're ahead of the game, right? So, that's something to think about.
I've read that's a good idea anyways, first thing in the morning, because it helps get your organs awake and moving.
I was just watching a video yesterday about it.
Right. So pre-hydrate every day, and then drink a lot, drink water, a little bit of Gatorade. How much water should I drink?
I was told the exact opposite, like a month ago, more Gatorade from a physical therapist.
Were you really? Yep.
Well, he said the more water you drink, the more you go into the bathroom, and the more you're going to sweat, and you get nothing out of it. Gatorade, you get electrolytes.
Yeah.
He just told me that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say other than I've heard a lot.
I had vertigo.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
heard that.
Yeah. Vertigo, yeah.
Yeah.
You're off kilter, off balance. Yeah.
And they hook you up to an IV and put all that stuff back in you, and it's almost like a TV screen coming together.
Mm.
You see 45 different things at once. Like if I was looking at you, I see 4. Yeah. So you put everybody in this room full of colors. That's what you see.
Yeah.
Dehydrated.
How long
Really
will it last?
dehydrated. About 36 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. From a physical therapist,
That's what happens when you get really dehydrated. Believe me, that's what he told me. You will experience it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what causes the vertigo, dehydration.
Yeah.
I guess that
There's
makes
something
sense.
besides Gatorade that we can drink that has less sugar? Other than Pedialyte or something like that?
Pedialyte, yeah, that's that's for kids, but it doesn't have all the junk in
They
there.
tell you not to give it up to your kids like that either.
Cranberry juice. That's for urinary.
That's a shot full of sugar.
Cranberry juice and vodka?
Well, G2, you seen G2, Gatorade 2. Yeah. So it's more of a, less sugar.
Water.
Cranberry juice works for me.
It works for you.
I'm here, Red Bull. Yeah. Coffee, Red Bull, water. In there.
So,
I get water, but I shower.
So drinking a good amount of it too. So OSHA would tell you 8 ounces every 30 minutes. Ray, you're getting pictures taken, man. You're getting pictures taken of you. Smile.
Send me that, I got the last one.
Mice.
So 8 ounces every 30 minutes. So.
How big is your average water bottle?
Yeah.
16.
So half that. So that's probably more than they have.
A water bottle an hour long? Basically.
Yeah, water bottle an hour. If you send it out. Yeah.
I got a question. Can't you like over flood yourself drinking too much
Oh,
water?
most definitely help.
You can.
You can actually die from drinking too much water.
Yeah, we had a guy. Do you guys remember? Did you ever meet Capena? Those of you who have been here for a long time, big tall wine guy.
Yeah.
You remember him?
Yeah.
He worked for us a couple years ago. He actually went to the racetrack and didn't drink any liquor, but drank a ton of water and got what they deemed as water poisoning because he just drank it way too much.
I thought he was drinking lemon and water.
Oh, he told me this story?
I never heard that.
Lemon?
So what happened? Like,
He never told me lemon. He just started feeling really, really sick, like almost like he was a little deoriented and really nauseous. But he said, like, as he walked, he could hear, like, slushing. And you know, that's the problem. Yeah, that's a lot of water. Yeah. Too much here, your body can't even handle it. So, yeah, maybe just stick to, you know, a bottle, a good bottle of water every hour or so. We'll try to keep on top of that. So that's good. That's a lot on hydration. Good. So what else can you do other than just the hydration part?
Get into the shade, a cool space.
There you go.
Break.
And some of you guys kind of, to some degree, have that, I think, by default. Like those of you who drop, you know, because you're outside, but then you're inside going up the elevator, so you get a little bit of a break in between.
And it could be on the other side of the building where the sun's not at. I mean,
yeah.
What's it do to your temperature when you go from being outside where it's exhausting hot to go inside the building just for a brief second to walk back up to the room, right back up to the hot? So you're going from hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. What's that do? You think?
I mean, really, unless it's extremes, you know, if you were to be like 103, 105, really high, you know, internal core temperature, and you were to try, it's almost like, you know, when they tell you, you know, don't put ice, you know, give yourself an ice bath when you're overheating. Try to, you know, shock your, you know, you can put yourself into shock when you go to extreme temperatures, but just cooling down, keeping yourself in between from a medical standpoint. I don't know of anything. I'm not a doctor, but from what I know of, you know, I don't think there's an issue with that necessarily. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is good to give yourself a break once in a while. Especially, I mean, if you feel like, man, we've been going at it for a while, and you know, you can tell it's one of those days. It's 95. It's a, you know, to take a short break. Shorter, frequent breaks are better. But yeah, so that okay, and in the shade. What else?
Here's something else to think about. You guys already know this. I think it was Johnny that called me. Where's John? Called me last week. He goes, I think it was like low 80s, and he was working in the sun. The water was drying up on the windows real quick. We were trying to figure out how to make it work for him. And you know, you guys work in front of a reflective surface all day long. So what's that do to temperatures? Exactly. So what Kevin's talking about, these are really kind of, I'm going to say, minimum standards. Understanding that you guys, if you're working in front of glass, the temperatures are higher. If you're working in the sun, you know, serious business. So just something to think about.
Go ahead.
I know in the summertime I love early starts. Those are awesome. A little early.
You love what?
Earlier starts because it's cool
outside. Yeah.
Not as much sun. My question is though, do hats help or hinder, or you know anything about that as far as, you know, the bed cap? Because I'm not sure which way to go in the summertime. I don't know if you should do that or not do that. I definitely cut the afro off, but
protect the top of your head, your face and stuff from the sun.
Yeah. I mean, you're so the pro and the con is this. With the hat, you know, you're wearing a hat, so you got shade, right? You're protecting your skin from burn, and it's a little cooler. I mean, with direct light from the sun is going to make you hotter, right? But yet, the problem is trapping the heat. You know, I mean, your body cools. A lot of times heat rises, right? It's like you hear in the wintertime, put a hat on, keep the heat from escaping, right? So trapping that in. Now, I've got a slide actually that shows those, and in a few. So I'm glad you brought that up. I have one that's almost like a mesh top, so it allows the heat to escape, but yet provide shade. That's probably the best case scenario.
Visor.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
Some of them
That's why
visors.
they put air holes in the hats. That's why they put air holes in the top of them.
That's true.
So them are really head vents that hung.
Well, I mean, they all have, you know what I'm saying? All your hats have holes in them, except unless you wear a winter hat, and, you know, it's probably.
There you go,
Not a great idea.
A little bit of natural ventilation there. A little bit. So, good question. I mean, I'd say try it out and see what works for you. That's what I'd say. I know for me, like, I know on a vacation, that's why I bought it. I was out in the sun too long, and I got it, you know, to wear when I was out in the sun, and it helped me. So for me, it helped.
Those big girly sun hats offer a lot of ventilation.
Best has to use.
Like they wear at the Kentucky Derby, you know, the big old, there you go.
They provide a lot of shade.
Yeah.
You can just get an umbrella.
I found some, I got some other stuff to kind of throw out too. You heard him say that when your skin is burnt, you got some good ones there. Yeah.
Why the big thing is in between her legs?
He's got the back thing over there.
The back of his head's
You heard him say that when your skin is burnt, your body has a hard time cooling down, right? So you want to protect yourself from harsh burns when you can. So applying sunscreen would help you. Shade hats, right? We talked about those a little bit just now. Hydrating properly. We talked about that one. Alcohol and caffeine. Obviously,
That's borderline impossible.
sorry to be a buzzkill. Sorry to be a buzzkill. But, you know, the truth is alcohol does have an effect on your body's ability to regulate temperature. So, you know, you load up on Fireball the night before, you know, I'm going to work the next day, and you're out there baking in the 95 degrees. You're just doing yourself, you're not doing yourself favors. And the energy drinks, even coffee, I mean, we're feeding you coffee when you go out today. But, you know, a lot of caffeine doesn't necessarily do any good either. So trying to limit that, stick with more water, a little bit of Gatorade is good. Eating meals, try to eat lighter meals. You know, going for that Big Mac and the supersized fries, you know, that's going to be tougher on your body too, okay?
That right there is
How about
kind of
fries?
real for you eating hot food in hot weather is not good. It's good to eat cold cut, tuna salad stuff.
Yeah.
It does
Fruit's real good for you. Fruit's got a lot of water content in it anyway. Vegetable, watermelon's great.
Coconut water.
You know, stuff like that. Coconut water.
And salt.
You know, any of that's really good in the heat. We talked about the breaks. Monitor your body for symptoms. So I've shown you this slide before in the past, but you know, your body's way, it will tell you, if you pay attention, it'll tell you when it's struggling and when it's not by the symptoms I talked about before. But one other one is to look at your urine, okay? If your urine is light, then you're hydrated. If it's dark, you're not. So, you know, if you go to the bathroom and it looks like apple juice, you need to, you know, pay attention to that, because you need to realize I'm not hydrating myself enough. So even if you think like, you know, hey, I'm doing a good job, but that doesn't look right, then you're not. You need to up the intake a little bit. So once you get here, you're where you need to be.
See the margaritas?
Yeah. When you look like
Once you get to the margaritas, you're
margarita.
See, I've heard that it's not good for pee to be completely clear.
Well, not clear, but somewhere in this nature of a lighter yellow, you definitely don't want it dark like that.
They go to the doctor if it's dark like that.
When it's dark like that, your liver's overworking itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real hard.
Or you drink too much water.
Yeah.
So good to pay attention to that. And then as far as, what do you do? How do you treat heat illness? So let's say somebody does a drop in their ear. You see symptoms in them, right? And you're like, what do you do?
Get them in the shade.
Get them in the shade.
Get some water.
Get some water.
Wet rag.
There you go. Try cool wet rags. Okay. So this.
How to treat heat stroke. Heat stroke occurs when the body is unable to cool itself. Knowing first aid techniques to treat this dangerous condition could save a life. You will need a cool area, cool water, a cool bath, or damp sheets, drinking water, and a thermometer. Optional, a fan, and sports drinks. Consult a physician for care and treatment advice if you suspect heat stroke. Step 1. No heat stroke symptoms. Look for a headache, dizziness, confusion, exhaustion, seizure, high body temperature, rapid heartbeat, dry skin, and hallucinations. Step 2. Move a heat stroke victim into a cool, shady area or an air-conditioned building. Step 3. Remove the victim's clothing. Apply cool water to their skin or wrap them in damp sheets. Place them in a cool bath if they are conscious and able to cooperate. Accelerate body cooling using a fan to blow cool air across the patient's skin. Step 4. Provide cool drinking water to increase hydration if the victim is able to accept it. Offer sports drinks to replenish both fluids and salt. Step 5. Continue treatment until you verify with a thermometer that the person's temperature is 101.3 to 102.2 Fahrenheit. Step 6. Keep the person in a cool area and ask them to lie down with their feet elevated. Bed rest combined with rehydration will get them on the road to recuperation and recovery. Did you know? Heat waves result in more deaths in the U.S. than hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, lightning, and earthquakes combined.
All right. So there's some things to take from that, and there's some things maybe not. But here's what I'd say. Okay, if you think it's heat exhaustion, all right. So you think it's heat exhaustion, right? So guy just says, "Man, I'm feeling kind of weird, and I'm just kind of sick, and I'm sweating a bunch or whatever." Check his pulse, right? Is it strong? Is it weak? If it's really, really strong, that's not good, right? That's the heat stroke side. Look at his pupils, right? Are they constricted? Okay, that's heat stroke, right? So is he red hot or hot to the touch, right? Is he stopped sweating? Those types of things. No matter what, you want to try to do something to help him immediately, no matter what it is. But if it's anything like that, my advice is call 911. Okay? Don't. And I know all of us, at least me, you're kind of hesitant. Like, man, should I really call 911? But in this case, do it. Okay? My advice is definitely do it. If it's exhaustion, he looks normal, just feels a little sick, whatever. No matter, okay, that's fine. Maybe wait it out, see what happens, but get him in the shade, get him some drinks, get some compresses right here. That's a good place. Wrists, that's a good place, right? Under the armpits, even, that's a good place. Try to cool him down. And then really, if that's happened, you really, honestly, I would say call the office, talk to him. And my advice is they should go home the rest of the day. Because you don't want to get right back out there and put yourself right back in harm's way if that's what's happening. Okay? So, That's how to treat heat stress. All right, so let's spend just a few minutes on a couple other topics and we'll wrap it up, okay? Dangerous animals. But the truth is any dog can bite, right? Any dog can bite. You guys ever run across stray dogs running around out there? I bet you do.
Falcons too.
Roosters. So what do you do if what do you do if a dog approaches you? Let's say it's a stray dog. He's in the street. He approaches you. What do you do? You shoot. Shoot him.
Stomp at him. Try to scare him off.
Okay.
Turn. Don't run.
Act like you don't see his ass.
Don't
Okay.
stare him in the eye.
Don't stare him in the eye. All right.
Down and smile. Because when you bare your teeth, it shows in your. That's what they say.
Each year in this country there are 5 million people bitten by dogs. 1 million of those require medical attention, and sometimes those dog bites can be fatal. Despite being known as man's best friend, our dogs can sometimes have a nasty side that can appear with little warning. And when that side does appear, the results are often devastating, especially to younger children. More than 18,000 delivery or municipal workers are injured by dogs every year. Although other injuries, such as sprains, do occur, dog bites are by far the most numerous. But it's the attacks on children that seem most horrific to us. And children are a dog's most common victim. Learning how to read a dog's body language can help prevent or avoid an attack. Dogs ready to bite will often have raised hair on their back, show a tense body, and of course growl or bark. Many dog bites are caused by unneutered males roaming the neighborhood trying to stake out a territory. Even seeing which way a dog is leaning can give you a clue as to what he's going to do. Dogs leaning forward are confident and ready to fight. These are the ones to be wary of. To avoid dog bites, keep the following in mind. Never approach a dog whose behavior seems odd to you. Keep your eyes downcast. Do not make direct, intimidating eye contact with a potentially aggressive dog. Stand quietly, don't run or yell at the dog. And never attempt to reach over a dog and pat him on the head. This will many times stimulate a bite. And take the time to teach your children about the dangers of trying to pet strange dogs. It just might save their life. On the other side of this issue are millions of dogs that are put to sleep every year because of behavior problems. Frankly, both of these tragedies could be avoided with good knowledge and proper training techniques. I'm Dr. Jim Humphreys.
So that's a little bit on it. There's a professional trainer who's out there, and I don't have his video because you have to buy it, and it's like $700 for an hour of dog training. I probably get that. I'm going to do that, but I've seen it. I've seen other people play, and it's actually really good. He shows a bunch of video clips of him and dogs, and they're not dogs he's trained. Like he'll go into a yard, and they'll let loose a dog that he doesn't know, and he'll interact with it, and he shows you what to do and what not to do. It's really good. But what he showed, what he showed, not in your backyard, what he shows is a couple things. A few of them were mentioned here, but he does say, that dogs a lot of times they'll bite because they're territorial, right? Or they think that out of being scared, okay, or you're threatening them, okay. So with that, he says you don't ever want to turn your back, and he shows where he walks up, or he'll be there and he'll have a dog, and he'll go like this, and the dog will come at him, and then it'll turn, and it'll stop. And so, he shows like keep your front to him, okay. Don't look at him in the eyes. They take that possibly as a threat. So you want to kind of look downcast, right? So maybe look at their feet, all right? But the big thing is he says, get something. A lot of dogs, they will bite not necessarily you, but they're going for somewhere around you, but if you give them something else, they don't know the difference between your hat and your hand. Okay? So if I were to take that hat off and offer the hat, and he shows it, it happens every time that he shows it. He has a hat, another time he has an umbrella, but he'll take that hat and wave it when it charges him, and it'll take that hat and, rip it around, and then it's somewhat distracted, gives him time to get out. So that is great. You're wearing a hat, use that, or if you have a squeegee, perfect. And a lot of people might think, hey, no, I'm going to whack it. Well, think about that. You may hit it, and you may not, and it may continue on. It's not necessarily going to stop unless you really hurt it bad, right? So where it will stop coming after you, at least temporarily, is when it's got something to gnaw on. So you're better giving it the squeegee, right? Or whatever's in your hand, and let him take that for a second, and as it's doing its thing, possibly try to get out.
You have created another excuse for lost squeegees.
Man, I had to give my squeegee to a dog.
Yeah.
Or indeed the dog took it.
The dog ate my squeegee.
So, and he does say a lot of times, early on, if the dog is, aggressive, and you have nowhere to go, you're better just being patient. A lot of times, if you just stand there and look downcast, yeah. Over time, even though he may not get comfortable with you, he's going to become more comfortable with the situation, maybe less likely to come after you. So you might try to wait it out. Like if your back's in the corner, you got nowhere to go, you might just try to wait it out. Don't say, well, heck, I got to do something, so I'm going after him, and then you're invoking it, right? So, yeah.
The main thing about dogs is they sense fear real quick.
They do sense fear.
They sense fear. If you show a lot of fear, they're going to get you.
What about geese?
Yeah.
Is that being true for geese?
Geese.
It's squeegee. What we want.
Geese. It's fair. Geese.
Birds and geese. Geese are
That scares me.
They don't like a blower, that's for
I hate geese.
Yeah.
So anyway, those are a few things about dogs. The guy shows in his video, he does say this. He says, look, your worst scenario is if a dog gets you on the ground, you're in trouble. Because at that point, if he goes for the neck, that's where, it can get bad. So you gotta stay on your feet, okay? And he says, if you have nothing in your hands and he comes at you, you don't want him to go for the lower region or get to your neck or get you on the ground. So what he actually says is, and this is worst case scenario, give him your arm. If you got nothing else. And then you can somewhat kind of control where he goes because he's going to be clamped down. So that's what he says, okay? But a lot of these dogs, probably in your cases, you're not going to be stuck in the yard. A lot of what he shows is you go into a yard and you got this dog in its territory. In your cases, a lot of times you're probably not doing that. It's going to be more like a dog roaming the streets. He's probably not going to attack you if you just leave him alone. But what you don't want to do is just assume, oh, look at this little puppy, he looks nice, he's wagging his tail, and reach over his head and he feels threatened and he bites you. Right?
There was one time I was growing up, I was probably maybe 9 or 10. Me and my dad were walking down an alley, and a dog actually jumped the fence and came at me and my dad. My dad actually grabbed the dog and bit the dog, and the dog took off running.
Where did he bite it? On his leg?
I was too young.
You too young to remember?
I know he bit the dog, and the dog took off running.
That's crazy.
He grabbed the dog.
I don't think I'd bite it, but that's interesting. All right. So, talk about snakes for just a few minutes. There's 4 poisonous snakes in the United States. What's this one? Coral snake. Coral snake, found mainly in the southern United States. Not going to find it much here, more tropical. What's that
rattlesnake?
Rattlesnake, right? What's this one? Do you know?
Cottonmouth.
Watermouth, same thing, right? And then this one? No, copperhead. That's copperhead. Right. Copperhead. So ways that you can figure out is this snake poisonous or not if you run across a snake. Here's all different things that kind of are common. So you got a lot of varying colors, right? Typically, you just see like a solid black snake. It's not a poisonous snake.
What happens when you colorblind?
Well,
Stay away from all gray snakes.
Okay, so
all gray snake. What color is that snake, bro? Right.
Are you colorblind?
Yeah.
Can you tell the difference though? Here? In the pattern? In the pattern, right? You got different shades of gray. So, patterns, a little bit of pattern.
You're screwing off the cotton.
So, varying patterns, okay? Triangular head. They have the venom glands back here. So and it's typically going to be more triangular shape. So you have the elliptical pupils like a cat, and which hopefully are not that close so you can tell. And the other thing, if you're around water, they actually swim on top of the water instead of below. So if you're around water, you just see the head of a snake, probably not poisonous. You see the whole snake on top of the water, poisonous. Okay?
Hold on. When I was a kid, we got a water moccasin, but it wasn't on swimming on top of the water. That dude was curled up under the water by the edge of the bank, like just sitting there. So yeah, it wasn't swimming. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's just hanging out. What?
We frog gamed it.
Oh, did you really? So what do you do if you find a snake?
Eat it.
Leave it alone. Check the size of this one out.
Yeah, I saw the video.
Isn't that nasty?
That's what I don't like.
Hey, real quick, guys. A good friend of mine was camping in southern Indiana a couple weekends ago, and they saw a water moccasin down there. And of course, he tried to pick it up because he's a neighbor, and he got bitten, and his hand swelled up, just like it looked almost unidentifiable as a hand or an arm. He went to the emergency room, and guess how much he survived. But guess how much it cost him at the emergency room? If nothing else sways you from trying to grab a snake for no reason. $35,000. Oh. This is a small community emergency room, not a big hospital. Small community. $35,000. Yeah, that was. He hasn't even gotten other things, but yeah, don't be grabbing snakes.
Ain't no grab good.
I'm not even gonna grab a spider.
That's crazy.
$5,000.
He's not in the There's no way you keep it.
Does he not have insurance?
No, he doesn't have insurance.
What kind of medical attention costs that much?
He was there for
anti-venom
for a couple of shots.
He was there for 7 hours.
So it's like 20 grand to walk over.
All right, so a couple more on dangerous animals here. Spiders, just know they, especially summertime, they're looking for someplace cool. So you get into bushes, okay? On the side of buildings, probably more in shade areas. But in bushes, ivy, places like that, that's where you're going to find those. If you get bitten, try to find it, see what it looks like, or take a note of what it looks like. If it looks like either of these, then you want to get seen right away, okay? This is the Black Widow. It looks like it's all shiny black with like a red hourglass type thing on the back. or brown recluse. This is a standard brown spider, but it has an upside down fiddle on the back, which is different than other standard wood spiders. Okay, so
if you know we're going to be around spiders, is there anything we can do to, like, we can wear or insect spray or anything that will repel them?
So DEET, I've heard does some good, not necessarily 100% repellent, but so, you know, and DEET's in mosquito spray. But that's the only thing that I've heard that does repel. So
We do these bushes a lot, so what if we just touch our pant legs and shoot it?
absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
That's not the dress code. Sorry.
How to avoid being stung by a bee. Contrary to belief, most bees don't sting. Stinging is fatal for most of them. They usually won't sting unless they feel threatened. If they do come after you, make sure and watch out for their stingers. There are many techniques that work to help you avoid being stung by a bee. Here are 3 simple steps to try to remember when you encounter a furry-eyed friend. First, stay calm and hope the bee flies away.
He won't sting you. Please.
Second, if that doesn't work, quickly run in the other direction. And finally, when all else fails, scream uncontrollably. Put your boots on your hands and open a window, hoping you confuse the bee enough to make him fly away, leaving all parties concerned safe and sound.
Oh no, more humans. I don't need this.
So I don't know about the boots on your hands and all that, but really the main thing is, you know, most people's reaction is, you know, get away from me. But again, what you heard what they said, and there is truth there. They mainly sting when they feel threatened. So, or if you're near a hive, okay, they may sting. Maybe you don't even know it's there, but if you're standing near its hive, it may get you. But yeah, I mean, just a random bee coming up, if you're not going to threaten it, just stand there. I mean, I do this, and I'm yet to be stung by a bee that just is, that I'm not somehow around a hive or around somewhere or swatting at it. They just leave usually. So
The African ones, they sting for the hell of it.
they can fly, man.
You never seen that? They can sting just off the goddamn sting.
Yeah. Somebody said spray. That's good. Yeah, spray. If you see the nest, you're going to get up in an area and you see a nest or something, spray it before you get up there, right?
But there's some nests on the ground too.
And there are nests on the ground, yeah.
Me and Charlie was one day, I didn't even see it. A gang of bees was coming up my pants leg, tearing me up. Ooh, at the hospital. You ever see that?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
A bunch of them stung you?
Yeah. I got stung in the face, and I was working and I had to call Eric. And the first thing I was going to do, I was going to go to the doctor, but they wasn't bees. I ran into a wasp nest. Right there in Parkwood, and what I did was I took my hand off and I just seen one, and like you said, I swung at it and it came right out, but I backed up, and in the bushes was hornets nest, and they just came out,
Yeah.
and they got me everywhere.
Yeah. So best to just leave it alone, back away, come back with bee spray, you know, and take care of them. But
I got like 2 minutes. Once I get stung, if I'm giving myself a shot.
yeah, right, EpiPen. You have an EpiPen? Yeah. So if you know you're highly allergic, you know, carry an EpiPen for sure. And if you get stung by a bee, what I'd say too, one last thing on that, there are some people who have been stung before and haven't had reactions, but later on in life, for whatever reason, they will have a reaction.
Don't tell me that.
Or if you're stung a bunch of times, you can have a reaction like you. So just know that, and if you get stung and you start like your throat's starting to close up, you know, trouble breathing, whatever, you need to get help right away.
I got stung with chalk one time out at There was no color. They stung me everywhere.
Yeah.
I was very, I look like pumpkin head when they got
Throat swelling, yep. All right, so this is my last slide. We were going to cover severe weather, but we're over, so I'm not. I'll say that for next time, okay? So last one, I just wanted to tell you that we talked about bees, we talked about spiders, snakes, dogs.
Yeah, hold on.
Cats are pretty harmless, though.
This is Pinky. He's a male
You want to hear this?
cat, domestic short hair. He's available for adoption. He's pet of the week, like county animal. He's a very loving cat.
Pet of the week.
Pinky. Pinky, what? Hey, well, Kevin, Pinky, settle down, bud. Careful. Oh, I get a fish bowl. Somebody get a fish bowl.
Hurry up,
Get off over here. Yeah, somewhat ready. Go home. I just got a You got to do that? You got to do that?
I think he's probably still up for adoption. I don't think anybody got him yet. All right, guys. Hey, I didn't have anything else. You got anything? Good. No, good. Everybody sign in? Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. Guys, everybody be safe. Have a good one.
Hey, yeah, sure, buddy. Good to see you again. How you been? Oh, were you really?